Welcome to Limeworks TV. Today we're saying goodbye to the flat six engine in the 718 Cayman and Boxster. Now, it's no secret that Porsche was going to be switching over to electrification for its mid-engine platform anyway. However, the end date of production of combustion-engined 718s has come a lot sooner than any of us realised. And the reason is cyber security. Yes, technology yet again has got in the way of automotive enthusiast cars. Now, the crux of it basically is EU legislation. There has to be certain parameters to protect cars and, more to the point, owners of cars from hacking. That calls for, with immediate effect, these protocols to be put in place. Now, Porsche simply doesn't have the bandwidth to do it. Because we're coming to the end of the production life of the 718 Cayman and Boxster, it's not just about implementing new tech. There has to be infrastructure in the first place to implement the tech for these cars. That's not there, and Porsche, fair enough, doesn't want to implement that when these cars are going to be ceasing production anyway, and we're going to be switching over to a new generation. Quite literally, at the drop of the hat, that killed the 718 Boxster and Cayman in the EU, alongside states which conform to EU legislation. What does that mean? Well, let's investigate that further while out on the road, enjoying the very best of the Porsche Flat 6. Now, we'll be joined later in the video by other members of the Driven Not Hidden collective enjoying our Limeworks 2024 tour of Wales. But first, some actual journalism. So, before we go any further, I got a statement from Porsche GB to clarify specifically the perspective really for UK buyers with the 718 Cayman and Boxster platform. So I asked for that line. Here's the official statement, okay, and it reads as follows. In the European Union and some states that apply EU legislation, combustion-powered 718 models will not be available indefinitely. The main reason for this is the general safety regulation of the European Union, including cybersecurity, to which the platform will not be converted. Any models that do not meet these requirements will no longer be eligible for new registration in the EU after the beginning of July 2024. This applies not only to 718 models with an internal combustion engine, but to all models from all manufacturers, and this regardless of whether it is an e-vehicle or one with a combustion engine. As a result, sale of the 718 models with an internal combustion engine is discontinued in the EU and some states that apply EU legislation. In the EU and some states that apply EU legislation, 718 Cayman GT4 RS and 718 Spider RS are not affected due to small series regulations. These two models are still offered in the markets following the EU legislation. Here's the crucial bit basically. In regions where the relevant EU legislation is not applied, the 718 models with an internal combustion engine can remain available for longer. To clarify then, and this is the official line from Porsche GB, and this is what it says in black and white, this is the case in the UK where the 718 will remain on sale. So, friends in the EU, you cannot buy a combustion engine 718 going forward. However, if you're in the UK, you definitely can, which is good. Right, let's carry on trucking. That doesn't alter the long-term picture, which is the fact that these cars, the next generation of the 718, will be fully EV. There will be no combustion engine associated with these cars. My barometer of a good or a great sports car all comes down to emotion and engagement, how it feels sitting here from behind the wheel. And a combustion engine, specifically the Flat 6, for me is central to that. It's raw emotion. It is, as Andreas Preuninger said, with the 992 GT3, but it applies to any Porsche sports car, 10,000 parts working harmoniously as one. And I don't really feel that as a community, the fact that these cars are going EV, I don't really feel like it's on our radar. I think we've taken these cars maybe a little bit for granted. I don't cover enough mid-engine stuff on this channel. I'm going to change that going forward because I think they're brilliant sports cars. Even as a 911 diehard, I can really appreciate the mid-engine 718 lineup, particularly in GTS form. You'll know recently I drove a Cayman T, 718 Cayman T, and I absolutely loved it. This is a very different experience in 4-litre form, probably the perfect sports car actually, to evangelise over the flat six and its merits, and ultimately sign off its presence in Porsche's 2-seater mid-engine sports car. This took place over a full weekend of driving alongside others from the DNHC. At this point, I won't do any talking because what you're about to see and hear will do all of that for me. So we're at the end of the Nine Works Driven Not Hidden Collective road trip to Wales for 2024. The sun is setting, the wind is kicking up, hence the roof is up. But that's certainly no bad thing because the sound of that flat six behind is just as awesome, and I promise you for the rest of this piece to camera, I'm going to leave the gears high because this thing sounds awesome. Having this 718 GTS 4-litre has been a fitting last stand for the 718 Cayman and Boxster platform with a combustion engine. Leap years on from that plucky 2.5 litre when the Boxster debuted in 1996. And all the best Porsche engines are 4 litres, aren't they? We think of the 997 RS 4 litre, the last Metzger engined GT3. We then think latterly of the 992 GT3 and GT3 RS, 9,000 RPM redline. Absolute awesome Banshee motorsport engine housed in the back of a road car. And this car has shown that it's not just Weissach that sprinkles a bit of Porsche magic over 4 litres of cubic capacity, because this engine is awesome. And the internal type number is 9A2 Evo. It's the same engine or same block that features in the 992, 911, but in very different fashion. That is 3 litres and twin turbocharged. This is 4 litres and naturally aspirated. That alone really is incredible engineering from Porsche, and it's the sort of engineering that going forward we may well miss. As I said, I understand EVs are coming, and I'll be just as intrigued as anybody to try Porsche's 718 EV, because if anybody can get it right, Porsche can, and more to the point, if Porsche can't get it right, I don't think anybody else can for the sports car sector. So the next generation 718 being EV is going to be crucial for sports cars, not just Porsche. But that's a video for another day. For now, it's about signing off the brilliant combustion engine in a Porsche sports car, particularly in the 718 platform. It's been a brilliant couple of days pointing this thing around Wales with the Driven Not Hidden Collective. I've got to be honest, I spent the first half a day turning into corners too early because I'm so used to driving 911s where you just have to weight the car up properly. Whereas with this, it's just absolute perfect weight distribution and balance. You don't need to do any of that. Very different to the 718T I drove a couple of weeks back, and I absolutely love that. It's a flat 4 engine, turbocharged. I said at the time, I think it's Porsche's best kept sports car secret. I still believe it. The pared back nature of the T, I think, suits that turbocharged 4-banger really well. You have to really rev that thing hard to get the best from it. Whereas this, really early throttle openings, a lovely punchy mid-range, and a zingy top end. I'm just leaving those revs high. I love it. It's a real work of art. And it sounds awesome. And I'm going to miss it so. I think the very best way to sum this 718 GTS 4 litre up as the pinnacle of internal combustion engine, mid-engine platform, away from the GT4 RS and Spider RS. The best way I can describe this car is, with a 911, it very much does feel like a sports car with the engine in the back. You have to drive it a certain way to make the best of its unique weight distribution. Whereas this, by comparison, you just feel like you are strapped to the engine. It's a real firecracker, and the whole car is a proper little pocket rocket. Add in the amazing chassis, brilliant weight distribution. I think you've got a damn good sports car. But we're not here to review the 718 GTS, we're here to evangelise over the flat 6. And the flat 6 really does make up the lion's share of my connection with this car. Take it away, it's good, it's damn good, but would it be great? I don't think so. So the message then is, if you're in the EU, I am genuinely gutted for you if you haven't managed to nab one of these. Obviously there's a used market for you to tap into. If you're in the UK, don't leave it too late, because these things are not going to be around forever. Not as an investment, nothing like that. Just to drive and experience the connection and emotion, really, that I'm getting right now. And on that note, I shall leave you with the sound of a glorious flat 6 engine bouncing off the mountainside.